we will follow.
Hi, welcome to Trinity Talk Live, water cooler conversation from a Christian perspective. I am Ken Coughlin. Thank you very much for joining us again today. As a quick reminder, if you do like our videos, please go ahead and give us a like. That's a thumbs up button right here on the YouTube channel. It does help us get seen by more people. We appreciate it. Let me go ahead and introduce our panel for today. What do you say? Seated to my right is a familiar face to anyone who watched, last week's episode. He's kept his promise. We said he was going to be back, and he was late today. So we were worried that he was going to, after last week, not going to show up again. But welcome to, please, Tom Reed. Tom is a visitation lay minister here at Trinity. He's been visiting members of Trinity for over 5 years. He's married with 2 children and 12 grandchildren, and he enjoys spending time with his family and reading. And Tom, along with our other guest I'll introduce in a second, is starting up our new Cancer Companion ministry here at Trinity. Welcome again, Tom.
Thank you.
And speaking of the other guest, seated to my left is Jan McMillen. Jan was on our episode hosted by Lori Hinman in September, wasn't it? Last month, yeah.
Yes.
Jan has been the women's ministry leader at Trinity for the past 3 years. She's married to her husband, Bob, and has a puppy, Zoe. Jan also worked in oncology for 30 years, and along with Tom, is also working on starting up the Cancer Companion Ministry. Welcome back, Jan.
Thank you.
So why don't we go ahead and start with our current events, okay?
Okay.
So our first story tonight deals with Hurricane Harvey. When Hurricane Harvey struck Texas, several religious centers stepped up to help with the disaster relief efforts. Some served as command centers for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, as they distributed aid to the storm-ravaged area. But now 3 churches, 2 non-denominational and 1 from the Assemblies of God, have filed suit against FEMA, and several Houston area Catholic and Jewish congregations have filed briefs in support of the churches. It seems that even though FEMA is more than willing to accept the help of these churches in distributing aid, they aren't willing to grant them disaster relief funds to repair the church's own buildings. So FEMA essentially is willing to accept the church's hospitality in getting the aid to others, but it's not willing to help those churches when they themselves have been damaged by the storms. Ever since 1998, FEMA policy has forbidden providing repair grants to any facility if 50% or more of that facility's usage involves religious activity. All 3 churches involved in the lawsuit did indeed suffer significant structural damage, and one of them actually was specifically used by FEMA after the storm. Our second story today, anyone on social media has certainly seen the hashtag #MeToo campaign of late. Victims of sexual assault and harassment have been asked to post hashtag #MeToo in order to shed light on the vast scope of the problem. Well, Christian band For King and Country is trying to do its part to help raise awareness. On Thursday, October 19th, they had a free screening of their 2016 film Priceless on Facebook Live. The film addresses the issue specifically of sex trafficking. The IMDb website describes the film as follows. A widower who loses custody of his daughter finds himself unable to hold down a job. He agrees to drive a truck across the country, no questions asked. But when he discovers what he is delivering, he is faced with a life-changing choice. The band issued a press release about the free online screening, stating, "It's the band's desire that more people will be aware of the victims of sexual abuse and its devastating aftermath that leaves victims hopeless and without a voice. Each one is priceless." And our third and final story today, a recent study by Lifeway Research found that the biggest factor in determining whether a child will continue with their Christian faith into adulthood is whether they read the Bible regularly growing up. The researchers surveyed 2,000 churchgoers with the goal of learning what parents can do to encourage their children to remain faithful as adults. Other important factors were whether they spent time in prayer, served in church, listened to Christian music, and participated in mission trips or projects. So those are our 3 stories today. I'm going to start over here, ladies first, with Jan, and ask what stood out to you there.
Actually, the Me Too campaign really pressed on my heart, and something that I'm very passionate about, had some personal experience with as well. And our women's ministry also supports the Samaritan Women, which rescue women from human trafficking. And we really need to get the word out there. everyone thinks these things can't happen in our neighborhood, but it is so easy, and it does happen right here in Harford County. We have to educate our children, educate our parents. What seems like a harmless post on Facebook can turn into a stalking and a future abduction and child taken into human trafficking. And it happens so fast that the child is out of the state before the parent even knows that the child is missing. That's how fast this happens. And these people aren't just thugs off the street that start human trafficking. They are well educated in their trafficking. They know how to stalk these children, how to gain their friendship, how to lure them away, and how to get them out of the state very quickly. They basically have a business plan.
They're organized.
Yes, they are very organized, and even some of the traffickers tattoo their women and children with numbers, and if these women and children escape, there's an underground list, so if somebody else finds this girl, they can call the guy and say, hey, I have your girl, and get her back. It is just heart-wrenching, and to know what really goes on behind those scenes. And like I said, we work with Samaritan women, and to see these women and to look them in the eye is, it's just crushing.
Wow. Well, that's a good thing, I guess, about the campaign, the Me Too campaign. Obviously, generally dealing with not just with sex trafficking, although it certainly is a form of sexual abuse. But it's astounding when you see that the sheer numbers. Lots of times I think we just take for granted just because we think we know a person. It's like, well, you might not know their whole past and what they've been through. So it does show how prominent it is. So Tom, what about you? What stood out to you here?
The children and bringing them up in the church. That stood out to me very clearly. I agree that we need to teach our children to read the Bible. They're going to get the basics of everything that you want to know from the Bible. As we said last week in the how to pray. The Bible will give you the direction you need for any circumstance you have in your life. But beyond the Bible, I think it's the parents' responsibility to bring their child up into the church. A lot of people think it's the Christian schools and the schools' responsibility to train the children to go to church and to help build their faith. That's a major part of it. But the ones that have the major responsibility are the parents. And I'm a firm believer that I can tell you that I was brought to church at the very early ages of 1 year old. And we went to church as a family every Sunday. And I do believe fully that when a child is brought with their parents and their siblings to church, they get more out of knowing who God is, because they're not only experiencing God from the strangers in a church, but they're experiencing God through their family. Everybody has a different perspective of where they are in their faith, and it needs to be shared on a daily basis. And I think as a child grows up through the church, through going to church with their family and also going to Sunday school, as well as a Christian education, I think that's the most that anyone can do to make a child truly know who God is, and they'll grow stronger in their faith and become closer to God, and God will be closer to them.
And I'll take it one step further. We actually, we put out every week. I always mention before we sign off, and asking people to give us ideas as far as what they'd like to see, what topics they'd like to see us cover on future episodes. And we did a general episode back over the summer about how to be being a man of God. But one person wrote to us and asked that we do an episode specifically on fatherhood and on fathers and how to be a good Christian father and what God deems, what his plan is and his desires are for fatherhood. And statistically speaking, it's still true that you see far more mothers bringing their kids even to church than you do fathers. So this person had asked, that we do an episode about that to kind of educate dads about what their responsibilities are. And so I agree with you that the primary educators of a child have to be the parents, because they're with them a lot more than the church is.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have much more influence on them. But then I think you can break it down by subcategories. I think if there's a crisis of parents in general educating their kids, there's an enormous crisis of fathers, setting a good Christian example for their children. And so, maybe that's something we can address in the future. So, all right, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you both. Why don't we go ahead and move on to our topic of the week. And our topic of the week this week is going to be supporting those who are living with cancer. I mentioned in the intros that these two folks here on either side of me have started up a new ministry here at Trinity called Cancer Companions. And while the purpose of this episode is not just a promotional video for Cancer Companions, mind you, we are here to talk more generally about it. Obviously, that gave them kind of a unique perspective on the issue that we want to talk about today. And what I wanted to talk about, and I guess, Tom, I'm going to start with you, is first step, I'd like to educate some people out there as far as what are some of the typical struggles that someone faces when they find out that they have a cancer diagnosis that people might not be thinking about.
I think a lot of people, when they first get their diagnosis, first of all, they're in denial. They really don't want to believe that they have cancer. And it's hard for someone to come around from that denial stage to the acceptance stage, which is critical. I think, speaking from personal experience, I can tell you that when I was first told that I had cancer, I didn't want to believe it at all. And it took the doctor and my wife and I several visits before I actually accepted the fact that I had cancer. And then to realize that, you've got to now be able to face that you have cancer. You have to be able to face out what type of treatments you're going to have, what those side effects might be. And you also have to be able to accept all of this and also accept the fact that, and learn to accept the fact that cancer is not the thing that controls your life. Cancer is only an element that you're going through at the time, and you have to control your life by thinking about your loved ones first, your hobbies, your work. Let that control your life and work the cancer in and around that. Yes, you have to go to treatments and you'll have schedules. It's going to disrupt your life. But that's not the main element of your life. The main element of your life is your family, God, and all that you can do besides worrying about cancer.
Jan, you worked in oncology for 30 years.
Yes.
So I'm sure you've seen some of the struggles over the course of that time that people are going through.
Quite a few, yes.
What would you say are some of the things that people are facing?
A lot, first of all, is fear that you've gotten this diagnosis, because everyone thinks when you get a cancer diagnosis, it's automatic death, and that's not true. We have many survivors. Cancer treatment has come so far from when I started until I left the field, and even the advances then are amazing. But it's fear, it's the unknown, it's not knowing, okay, I have cancer, a woman might, I have breast cancer, what am I going to expect? It's a lot of unknowns. When you go in for the visit, if you're getting radiation, your first visit with what they call simulation, mapping out the treatment area, you don't know what to expect. So there's a lot of fear in that beginning of the cancer diagnosis, and just struggling to understand why did this happen to me? Why didn't I live a healthy life? I run, I eat well, and my neighbor is at drive-throughs every other night and doesn't exercise and, is so overweight. A lot of that just trying to, make sense of it. But I think the biggest thing is the fear of the unknown and not knowing what to expect.
Now, I want to touch on something here that I think many people might not think of, and that is, especially with your Cancer Companions ministry that you're starting up, it doesn't just cater to people who've got currently, just recently diagnosed and are undergoing treatment, but it also serves people who are cancer survivors.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why is that important?
Go ahead, Jen.
Cancer survivors are important because they've lived that journey, they've walked that journey, and they have so much experience they can share with the people that are newly diagnosed. They can be a friend, they can be a partner with newly diagnosed patients. just supporting them, being there. Sometimes all it takes is a hug, or I truly understand what you're going through, and they do, because they've walked that journey.
Are there particular struggles that you find that even cancer survivors, sometimes face after the treatment kind of starts to wind down?
Definitely. After treatment, a lot of them feel abandonment. Because during treatment, if you're getting radiation, you're going every day for anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks every day for treatment. Chemo can be once a week, twice a week, once every other week. But once you finish all that and you've come to the end of your treatment, then you don't come back to see the doctor until like maybe 4 weeks for a follow-up visit. Well, in that 4 weeks, you're so used to every day having a commitment, having something to do, somewhere to go. All of a sudden, there's nothing there. There's no one for you to go see every day. And they sort of get into an abandonment mode that everybody's left me. Geez, I'm out here all by myself now. And that's part of Cancer Companions, is you're never alone. We're always here with you no matter what.
Beyond the abandonment, you also have to consider the fact that a lot of times you're actually going to be going to see the doctors for over a period of maybe up to 10 years. I mean, just because they say you're cancer free, you still have to go for tests at least every, at least get blood tests at least quarterly for a while. And then after so many quarterly tests, then you go to semi-annual tests, and then you have to have annual tests for so long. So there's always that still thing in the back of your mind that says, is it coming back? And you have to keep assuring people, you're doing well. We're here, as Jan just said, you're not alone. We're here with you, and we're going to make sure that you get through whatever you want to think about or do to make sure that you're healthy and well. It takes a long time before you get to the point where you can say, I'm done.
Well, let me shift focus here a little bit, because part of what we only have a 30-minute program here. There's only so much we can go into. So I'm trying to hit on things that maybe elements of the cancer journey that people don't think of. And one element that I think a lot of people might overlook is that of caregivers. Mm-hmm. And that, there's people who, family members, friends, whatever, who are, providing, who are the primary caregivers for the people that carry the diagnosis, who maybe their needs get kind of short shrift sometimes. People don't consider the fact that they may have some independent struggles and needs that they're going through as well. So, Tom, as far as the caregivers are concerned, what kind of struggles do you see that the caregivers are facing?
Caregivers, in a lot of times, they're worried about are they giving the proper care to the people that they're caring for? Are they actually administering the medicines the way they should be? Are they actually giving that person enough encouragement and love to make them feel as though they're being accepted, even though they're going through a terrible time in their life? Caregivers often burn out, unfortunately, because they need to be doing so much at different stages. They worry whether or not they're going to be able to help them with either some of the financial matters that you may have to face if you have insurance that's limited. There's a number of different things that caregivers are affected by. And we're in Cancer Companions, we're here for the caregiver as well as the patient and the survivor. We're here to help them biblically to show that they also are not alone, that we can support them and give them the encouragement and help them find the resources they need to find in order to help the patient with whatever stages they're going through.
Jan, what about caregivers on your end? What kind of things do you see them having to face?
Besides, burnout is a big one, because they're taking care of themselves, they're usually working, and they're caring for their loved ones. And a lot of them never had any medical background or been around sick people before, so it's a huge challenge for them. And I think that in the back of their mind, they're always thinking, am I making the best decisions? Am I doing the best that I can for this person? And when they start to get tired, and a lot of times they stop taking care of themselves, because they'll think, oh, I have a doctor's appointment, but my loved one has another doctor's appointment. I have to get them to that, so I'll just go another time. And they usually end up neglecting themselves, which is a bad thing to do, because if you break down and you get sick, you're no help to anyone. So it's important that they continue to take care of themselves, which is very hard because they put their loved one first. And a lot of them will not ask for help, and that's important. You need to have that broad support network.
So I guess the question that we all face then is, what can we do about it? I mean, if you are a friend or a family member of someone who's been diagnosed with cancer, what types of things can we do to support them? What would you say, Jen?
First of all, let them know they're not alone, that there's a whole army of people out there willing to step up and lend a hand. An example is with our Cancer Companion Support Ministry. It's for the patient, the family, the caregivers. We're there to support you. We're there to help you gain information, help you if you need a wig or you need a wheelchair or you need a sitter for a certain time, where you can go to get these things. Just provide resources, just someone that's always there. We're always a phone call away, no matter what kind of a question or a need. If we don't have the immediate answer, we have people on our team who like to do research, and they'll find that answer for you.
Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you the tough question. You ready for it?
Sure.
Okay. You say that, but you don't know what it is yet.
We'll field it out.
So, Tom, let's talk about the meaning of life for a minute. No.
Okay. Starts off with God.
I'm not going to ask you about that. It's really a question about astrophysics and quantum mechanics. So
That's good too.
let's just talk about for a moment, maybe somebody who maybe they're already in a support group like Cancer Companions, and so they're getting some support there, but you are their best friend. Okay. So now we're talking about a personal relationship that is already existing and has existed for some time. All right. What types of things? If you're the best friend, you just find out your best friend's been diagnosed with cancer. What do you do next, and what are some of the things maybe that you can offer or that you can do to help out with that relationship?
It's easy. First of all, as Jan's been saying all along, you make sure that they understand that you're going to stick with them no matter what they go through, what they have to do. You're going to be there by their side, whether through a phone call, to pray with them over the phone, to pray with them individually, face to face. If they got to go for chemo, you're willing to go there and you sit with them while they go through their chemo sessions. You're willing to take them anywhere they need to go for any doctor visits. You're just willing to be there. Like Jan said also, there's times when the family needs a break, and they'll take a father and a son, as you were saying earlier. The father and son can go out, leave the home while the cancer patient's sitting there. If I'm his best friend, I'm going to say, I'll come over and I'll sit with you while your family goes out. If you need groceries, I'll help you go get those. I'll help you go to the doctors, get medical treatments, medical supplies, whatever you need, I'm going to be there for you. The same as if in general life, if you're a person's best friend, you're going to be with that best friend side by side through anything they have to deal with.
Yeah, I think that's important. The realization, we talked about caregivers, and sometimes even the caregivers need a break, and sometimes the person who's going through this just needs someone to be there with them. I mean, especially if it's a situation where I think they've been in the workforce, and so they're used to getting out during the day, and now maybe they can't. And so, there's a lot of alone time, and sometimes it's just a matter, I think, of just going over and, hey, let me come over, I'll bring a movie, we'll sit down, we'll spend some time together. Sometimes it might be offer to take their kids out, so that maybe, husband and wife can have some time together without the kids. That's a little bit more relaxing. Anything like that, little things that I think people might not think of. They might think, it's like, oh, how can I possibly help someone with cancer? I can't afford to, buy their medicines for them. I don't know where to find a wig. It's like, okay, there's groups out there like Cancer Companions that can help with that stuff, But you as the friend or as the family member can help with a lot with this other stuff that can really help fend off like the loneliness that you were talking about before, things like that. So we got a couple minutes left here, and I think what I'd like to do is give you guys a chance to kind of make your sales pitch about Cancer Companions, and tell people about that are people that maybe are here in the Harford County area. We're located in Joppa, Maryland, for those that don't know. about when you're meeting, what you're doing at those meetings, and how they can get involved. So who wants to start?
Cancer Companions here at Trinity Lutheran is a new ministry that we're just starting up. In fact, tomorrow night will be our first session with anybody.
Tonight will be your first session.
This is true.
It's the worst kept secret on Trinity Talk Live is that we film these on Mondays. I know.
Tonight will be our first session here in the annex of the former sanctuary at Trinity, and it'll be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And anybody who has cancer, anybody who is supporting somebody with cancer, or if they're a cancer survivor, they're welcome to come and join us tonight. And we will definitely welcome you. And we're going to be kicking it off with one of the first of the 9-week Bible studies that Cancer Companions gives us. And it covers a multitude of topics, beginning with tomorrow night's introduction to tell you what Cancer Companions is all about and how we're going to be helping you. Yeah, all the way through healing and faith. And there's a number of different topics. Nutrition. We're here to just be there, as we've been saying all along, to be side by side with anybody who's experienced a cancer journey until the journey ends.
Do people need to pre-register or anything to join up?
It's preferred that you do, but no, as of now, all you have to do is show up tonight, and we'll register you tonight. And the beauty of our program is, yes, it's a 9-week Bible study that is going to be given every other Tuesday night, but should you not feel up to it, you can miss it and fall in at any given time. It's because it's a continuous study. And we offer it in 2 different ways. You could do it as a group, as we're talking about for tonight. But the thing of it is, a lot of people don't want to be sitting in a group saying, I have cancer. And we understand that. And the beauty of this is we can actually assign somebody to you who will take you through the same study, give you the same information, and you've got all the same resources that we're going to provide anybody in a group on an individual basis.
So if, let's say, because look, a lot of people show up, I'm going to ask Jan this one because you covered just about everything else, so I'm going to let her talk a little bit
Please.
about the program. So let's say that a lot of people watch the show, late. They don't necessarily watch it on Tuesday. So it's possible that somebody's watching the show right now and they've already missed that first meeting. Is it something that people can come in and pick up on even, on week 2, 3, whatever?
Absolutely. Like Tom said, it is a 9-week study, and we cover 9 different topics throughout the period of the sessions, but they're not building block sessions. So if you miss number 1 and you come in number 2, you feel lost. That won't happen. They're individual modules, so you can come in and out and not feel that you're lost or way behind the game.
And what about when the 9 weeks are over, are you guys going to be doing this again?
It'll be a continuously running program, yes.
Okay.
When the first session finishes, we might have like a week or 2 break, and then we'll start the series again. And people can come as many times as they want. It's not, you come one time and that's it. You can't come anymore. They can come whenever they feel like it for as many sessions as they like. And this program is also free.
So it's got the next question.
Yes.
It is absolutely free to the cancer patients, their families, and caregivers. And you do not have to be a member of Trinity. It's open to our community as well.
And Trinity is located at 1100 Philadelphia Road in Joppa, Maryland, and website, trinityjoppa.org for more information. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you both. I think
Thank you.
considering the short time span we have here, I think we covered a lot of material, and hopefully some things that some people out there hadn't thought of beforehand. So thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did like this video, again, please click the like button on the YouTube page. That'll help more people get to see it. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got an awful lot more on here than just Trinity Talk Live. And subscribing to the channel will help you stay up to date on everything that we have available on the Trinity Joppa channel. Also, comment on if you have any questions, concerns, you can comment on this video, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Trinity Talk Live does have its own Facebook page. It's at Trinity Talk Live Podcast. That's also an avenue where we do post little tidbits there about what we have coming up in future shows. And you can also use that to make comments, suggestions, questions, things like that to give us some feedback. We will be back again next Tuesday at noon. This is another very special episode. Today was a very special episode, and so is next week's. Monday, October 23rd, marked the beginning of Red Ribbon Week, part of the Red Ribbon campaign to raise awareness for the problem of drug use and addiction. This annual event runs through October 31st this year, and as our small part in this effort, next week we're going to be joined by Corporal Daniel Petz of the Havre de Grace Police Department and drug counselor Bonnie Wyant Heisler to talk about confronting drug and alcohol addiction. We certainly hope you can join us. Yet again, thank you again to both of my guests. I appreciate you both being here today. Tom now gets a break. Jan gets it. We don't have Jan booked yet again, so we'll talk afterwards. We'll get you booked again on here real soon, I promise. All right? So thank you all again, and see you next week. God bless.
In your word we will follow.